I'm giving you 1 week to prove you're worth keeping. Day 1, she realized I'm worth way more than she ever was. Ultimatums work both ways. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. This story is 100% true and happened over the last few months. It's long, but trust me, the ending makes it worth reading every word. TLDR at the bottom, but you'll miss all the good stuff. Before I get into the main story, you need some background on how I got here. I'm 32, construction project manager for a major commercial firm in Phoenix. Started as a basic crew member making $45,000 right out of high school, but I'm one of those guys who actually works hard and learns the business inside and out. 8 years ago, I started my own side business doing high-end residential renovations. Word of mouth spread fast when you actually show up on time and deliver quality work. 3 years ago, I sold that business to a larger company for $780,000 and got hired as their senior project manager. Now I make $165,000 base plus profit sharing that adds another $300,000 in good years. Not millionaire rich, but comfortable enough that money stress isn't really a thing anymore. Met my wife Jessica at a friend's wedding 4 years ago. She was working as a marketing coordinator for some boutique salon, making maybe $38,000. But man, she was stunning. Like the kind of beautiful that makes other women hate her, and guys walk into glass doors. I was 28, making good money, and thought I'd won the lottery. Looking back, the red flags were everywhere from day one. First date, she ordered the most expensive thing on the menu, then barely touched it. Always forgot her purse when we went out. Would get moody if I suggested staying in instead of going to expensive restaurants. But I was thinking with the wrong head, you know? We got married 2 years later. Big wedding that cost me $52,000 because she always dreamed of a fairy tale wedding. Her parents contributed exactly $0, but had plenty of opinions about the venue and catering. Here's where my buddy Jake comes in. Jake's my best friend since high school, works in cybersecurity, and has zero filter. He's also the funniest guy you'll ever meet and has been calling out Jessica's nonsense since day one. Dude, she's gorgeous, but she's gonna drain you dry, he told me before the wedding. I've seen her type. She's collecting your benefits while shopping for an upgrade. I thought he was just being paranoid. Jake's always been suspicious of women ever since his ex-fiancée cheated on him with her personal trainer. But Jake turned out to be absolutely right. The first 2 years of marriage were decent. Jessica quit her job 6 months in because the salon was toxic, and she wanted to focus on building our life together, which apparently meant redecorating our house every few months and taking girls' trips to Napa Valley. I didn't mind supporting her initially. I was making good money, and she kept the house nice. But slowly, the entitlement started showing. Designer handbags became necessities. A $280 hair appointment every 6 weeks was basic maintenance. Yoga classes, Pilates, personal training, nutrition coaching. Everything was an investment in her health. Meanwhile, I'm working 55 to 65-hour weeks, dealing with construction delays and contractor drama, and she's complaining that I'm never present when I'm home. 6 months ago, things started getting really bad. She started making comments about my coworkers' wives and their lifestyles. Brad's wife drives a BMW X5. Why am I still in that old Honda? Lisa's husband bought her a tennis bracelet for their anniversary. I got dinner at Olive Garden. I started noticing she was always on her phone, giggling at texts she wouldn't show me. When I asked about it, she'd say it was just her sister or college friends. But Jessica's sister lives in Portland and hates her, and she doesn't really have close friends. Just other wives she networks with. 3 weeks ago, Jake came over for our monthly Call of Duty session. Jessica made a point of walking through the living room in workout clothes that probably cost more than most people's rent. Your wife seems happy, Jake said after she left. Yeah, why? She's been posting a lot on Instagram. Lots of gym selfies with hashtags like living my best life and worth it. Girls only do that when they're fishing for attention. He showed me her Instagram. I barely looked at it anymore, but he was right. She'd been posting constantly. Workout videos, smoothie pics, motivational quotes about knowing your worth and never settling for less. Bro, this is textbook branch swinging behavior, Jake said. She's advertising her availability without technically being single. I'd bet money she's already got someone lined up. I told him he was paranoid, but the seed was planted. That's when I started noticing things. How she'd take her phone into the bathroom. How she'd suddenly have errands that took 3 hours. How she'd come home from the gym with perfect makeup. Tuesday afternoon, I was managing a crisis at our biggest job site, a $15 million office complex where the electrical contractor had messed up the whole 4th floor. High-stress situation, but this is what they pay me the big money for. My phone buzzes with a text from Jessica. I need 1 week to think about whether this marriage is worth saving. I stared at that text for a solid minute. Not whether we can work things out or whether we should try counseling. Whether the marriage was worth saving. Like she was evaluating a subscription service she might cancel. Most guys would panic, start calling, texting, asking what they did wrong. But something about the way she phrased it just made me angry. She was treating our marriage like a quarterly business review. I finished dealing with the electrical crisis first, because that's what professionals do. Then I texted back, "Take all the time you need. I'll be making some evaluations of my own." Her response was instant. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means ultimatums work both ways. Enjoy your week." I immediately called Jake. "She did what?" he said when I told him. "Gave me a week to prove the marriage is worth saving." Jake started laughing so hard I thought he was going to choke. "Dude, she just gave you a get-out-of-jail-free card and doesn't even know it." "What do you mean?" "Think about it. She's basically saying she's not sure about the marriage. That gives you legal cover to start protecting your assets. Plus, I guarantee she's been planning this. Nobody sends an ultimatum like that without having backup plans." Jake was right. I started thinking about the Instagram posts, the secretive phone behavior, the sudden interest in self-improvement. "You know what you need to do?" Jake continued. "Document everything. And I mean everything. Her spending, her behavior, communications. If this goes south, you want evidence that she checked out of the marriage first." That evening, I came home to find Jessica in the kitchen, clearly expecting some big emotional conversation. She was wearing one of those outfits that cost $200 and looks like she threw it on carelessly. "We should talk," she said. "About what?" "You said you need a week to think. I'm giving you space to think." "I think you're misunderstanding what I meant." "Really? Because I need 1 week to think about whether this marriage is worth saving? Seems pretty clear to me." Her face flushed. "I meant we both need to evaluate things. Your text was pretty specific. You need to think about whether the marriage is worth saving. Nothing about mutual evaluation." I grabbed a water from the fridge. "But since you brought up evaluation, let's talk about what you're actually evaluating. My income? The house? The lifestyle I provide? Because I noticed you didn't pause your evaluation period to actually work on our relationship? That's not what this is about. Then what is it about? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're testing the waters to see if you can do better." She didn't deny it. That told me everything I needed to know. "You know what?" I said. "You're right. We should both evaluate things. Starting now." I pulled out my phone and started making calls. First, the credit card companies. Removed her as an authorized user on all accounts. Then our bank transferred half our joint savings into a separate account I opened online. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "Giving you an accurate picture of what you're evaluating. Hard to decide if a marriage is worth saving while you're spending the other person's money." Her face went white. "You can't just cut me off financially." "Actually, I can. We're both adults. If you're not sure about our marriage, you should experience what being single actually looks like." I called Jake while she stood there, speechless. "Operation Reality Check is a go," I told him. Jake showed up 20 minutes later with takeout and energy drinks. "Heard there's been some developments in the Johnson household." Jessica was still in the kitchen, probably calling her sister or one of her gym friends to complain about how unreasonable I was being. "So what's the game plan?" Jake asked. I'm giving her exactly what she asked for. A week to evaluate the marriage. But she's going to evaluate it with complete honesty. No safety net, no shared resources, no cushion. Brutal. I love it. Jake opened his drink. "What about the house?" "She can stay for the week. After that, we'll see what she decides and what I decide." Jake grinned. "This is going to be better than Netflix." Wednesday morning, I woke up, hit the gym, and went to work like normal. Jake texted me around 10 a.m. "How's the wife handling her new budget reality?" "Haven't heard from her? She's probably still figuring out how to pay for her latte without my credit card. Want me to drive by the house and see if she's crying on the porch?" "You're terrible, but yes." Jake works remotely most days, so he has the flexibility to be my reconnaissance. Around noon, he sent me a photo of Jessica's car, still in the driveway with the caption, "Target appears to be hibernating." I didn't hear from Jessica all day. No texts asking about the cards, no calls demanding explanations. Either she was plotting something, or she still didn't realize how serious I was. I came home to find her waiting in the living room with a whole presentation set up. She had her laptop open, spreadsheets on the screen, and what looked like a pros and cons list. "I've been thinking about what you said yesterday," she started. "That's what I told you to do." I made a list of our relationship strengths and areas for improvement. She actually had a PowerPoint presentation about our marriage, like it was a business proposal. Interesting approach. I said, sitting down. Let's see it. She clicked to the first slide. Our relationship. Current state analysis. Jake would have died laughing if he could see this. As you can see, Jessica continued, we have several core competencies as a couple. Financial stability, shared lifestyle preferences, physical attraction, social compatibility. Wait, stop right there. Financial stability? You mean my financial stability that you benefit from? We're a team, David. Teams don't give each other ultimatums about whether the partnership is worth continuing. She clicked to the next slide. Areas for growth. The list included things like better work-life balance. Translation, I should work less. Improved communication. Translation, I should ask before making financial decisions. And shared goal setting. Translation, I should fund her goals. This is interesting, Jess, but I noticed something missing from your analysis. What's that? Any acknowledgement that you might need to contribute something to this marriage beyond looking pretty and spending my money? Her face tightened. I contribute plenty. I manage our social calendar, maintain our home, provide emotional support. You mean you plan dinners with friends I pay for, redecorate with my money, and provide emotional support by giving me ultimatums? I stood up. Here's my feedback on your presentation. It reads like someone trying to negotiate a better benefits package, not someone who wants to fix their marriage. Jake texted me while she was still processing that. Bro, she's posting Instagram stories about making hard decisions and choosing happiness. Definitely fishing for sympathy. I showed Jessica the text. Seems like you're already working on your exit strategy. That's not what those posts mean. Really? Because to everyone else, it looks like you're advertising that you're available. She couldn't deny it because that's exactly what she was doing. You know what, Jess? I think this evaluation period is exactly what we both needed. You're getting clarity on what you want, and I'm getting clarity on who you really are. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm starting to wonder if the problem isn't that you don't know if the marriage is worth saving. The problem is that you don't know if I'm worth keeping around for your benefit. She opened her mouth to argue, but nothing came out. Because that was exactly right. My phone rang. Jake. Hey, you need to get on Instagram right now, he said. Your wife just posted something you need to see. I opened Instagram while Jessica watched nervously. Her latest story was a photo of her wedding ring on a table next to a coffee cup with the caption, "Sometimes you have to evaluate what's truly serving your highest good, self-love, worth it. New chapter." Are you kidding me? I said, showing her the screen. It's not about you. You posted a picture of your wedding ring with hashtags about new chapters while you're supposedly evaluating our marriage. What exactly is it about? Jake was still on the phone, barely containing his laughter. Dude, she's getting roasted in the comments. Your coworker's wife just asked if everything's okay at home. I looked at Jessica. Well, this is perfect. Now everyone knows you're shopping around while still married to me. I wasn't shopping around? Then what do you call posting thirst traps with captions about knowing your worth while asking for a week to evaluate your marriage? She didn't have an answer because there wasn't a good one. Thursday morning, Jake showed up at my house at 7 a.m. with coffee and donuts. Emergency strategy session, he announced. Your wife's Instagram activity last night was next level crazy. What happened after I went to bed? Jake pulled out his phone. She posted 3 more stories. One about toxic masculinity, one about financial abuse, and one that's just a picture of herself at the gym with the caption, "Investing in my future." She's calling me financially abusive for cutting off credit cards she's not even legally entitled to? Gets better. Check the comments on her posts. Jake scrolled through them. Most were supportive messages from other wives talking about knowing your worth, and you deserve better, queen. But there were some interesting ones from people who actually knew us. My coworker Brad's wife had commented, "Wait, aren't you married? Is everything okay?" Jessica's response, "Just taking time to reflect on what I want out of life." She's basically announcing your marriage is over without actually saying it, Jake pointed out. Classic branch-swinging behavior. She's lining up sympathy and potential options before she makes her move. So what's your master plan? Jake grinned. We give her exactly what she's advertising for. If she wants to act single, she can experience being single. But first, we need to document everything. He pulled out a folder. I've been screenshotting everything. Her posts, comments, the timeline of her behavior. If this goes to divorce court, you want proof that she checked out first. You've been busy. Dude, I'm invested in this story now. Plus, I might be single, but I'm not stupid. Your wife's been disrespecting you for months, and you've been too nice to call her out. Someone needs to have your back. We spent the next hour going through Jessica's social media history. The pattern was clear. Over the past 6 months, her posts had shifted from couple photos to solo shots, from us captions to me captions, from showing appreciation for our life together to humble bragging about her lifestyle. Look at this one from 3 months ago, Jake said, showing me a post of her at an expensive restaurant. Caption says, dinner at my favorite spot, not our favorite spot. She's been erasing you from her narrative for months. I can't believe I didn't see it, because you're a decent guy who assumes other people are decent too. She's been playing a long game. Around noon, Jessica came downstairs. She'd clearly spent the morning crafting her appearance. Full makeup, expensive athleisure outfit, perfectly styled hair. Like she was getting ready for a photo shoot. Going somewhere special? I asked. Just the gym, then lunch with Madison. Madison was one of her newer friends, a recently divorced real estate agent who was always posting about her glow-up and new life. Sounds fun. How are you paying for lunch? Her face tightened. Madison offered to treat me. How generous. I'm sure she has lots of advice about your current situation. After she left, Jake and I settled in to watch the show unfold online. Within an hour, Jessica had posted gym selfies with captions about strength and resilience. Then a photo of an expensive-looking salad with Madison, captioned, "Grateful for friends who remind you of your worth." She's literally documenting her exit strategy in real time, Jake observed. This is like watching a masterclass in branch swinging. But the best part came later that afternoon. Madison posted a story that included Jessica, and Jake caught it before it disappeared. Bro, you need to see this. The story was a video of them at lunch, and you could hear Madison saying, "Girl, you deserve so much better. You're young, beautiful, smart. You could have anyone you want." Jessica's response, "I'm just trying to figure out what I actually want versus what I settled for." She's talking about your marriage like it's a starter job she's outgrown, Jake said. That evening, Jessica came home acting weird. Extra cheerful, overly affectionate, asking about my day like she actually cared. Classic guilt behavior. Have a good day? I asked. Yeah, really good. Madison and I had a great talk about life goals and priorities. Sounds enlightening. What kind of priorities? Just, making sure you're living authentically, not staying in situations that don't serve your growth. Jake, who was still there, nearly choked on his drink. That's deep, Jessica. Very philosophical. She shot him a look. Some people understand the importance of personal development. Absolutely, Jake replied with a straight face. Personal development is crucial, like developing the personal integrity to address relationship issues directly, instead of posting about them on Instagram. The room went dead silent. Jessica's face went red. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Because your Instagram stories suggest you're going through some major life transitions. Very inspiring content. She looked at me like I'd betrayed her by letting Jake see her posts. My social media is private. Nothing on Instagram is private, especially when you're posting about your marriage being in crisis, I said. But I appreciate the transparency. Really helps with the evaluation process. She stormed upstairs, probably to call Madison and complain about how unsupportive I was being. Jake raised his drink. To evaluation periods that reveal exactly who people really are. Cheers to that. Friday morning brought the ultimate test. I was in the kitchen making coffee when Jessica came downstairs, dressed like she was going to a nightclub, not the yoga class she claimed to have. You look ready for yoga, I said. It's a special class. Hot yoga with a networking component afterward. Networking for what? You don't have a job. I'm exploring opportunities. Jake, who'd stayed over on the couch, walked into the kitchen at that exact moment. Exploring opportunities? That's one way to put it. What's that supposed to mean? Jessica snapped. Jake pulled out his phone. Well, Madison posted some interesting stories last night about your lunch conversation. Want to hear them? Jessica's face went white. You're stalking my friends now? Social media is public information. But here's my favorite part. Madison recorded you saying, and I quote, "I'm just trying to figure out what I actually want versus what I settled for." The kitchen went dead silent. You recorded my private conversation? Jessica yelled at Jake. Madison recorded it and posted it publicly. I just happened to save it before it disappeared. Jake grinned. Technology is amazing, isn't it? I looked at Jessica. So this evaluation period isn't about our marriage. It's about whether you can trade up. That's not... I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? Because what I settled for pretty clearly refers to me. She couldn't answer because there was no good answer. Jake wasn't done. Oh, but wait, there's more. Jessica, want to tell David about your new Instagram followers? Specifically the guys who've been sliding into your DMs since you started posting about new chapters? My wife's face went from white to bright red. How could you possibly know that? Because 3 of them are guys I know, and they all screenshot your responses to share in our group chat. Turns out you've been pretty receptive to their attention. I stared at Jessica. You've been entertaining other guys while evaluating our marriage? It's not what you think. Jake pulled up screenshots on his phone. Really? Because here's you telling Tyler from your gym that you're going through some changes and would love to grab coffee sometime to talk. And here's you telling Brandon from Madison's real estate office that you're figuring out your next chapter and appreciate him being such a good listener. And my personal favorite, you telling Derek from yoga class that you're ready for new adventures and think he seems like exactly the kind of person who could show me what I've been missing. Each screenshot felt like a punch to the gut. Jessica had been actively pursuing other men while giving me an ultimatum about our marriage. You've been cheating, I said quietly. I haven't done anything physical. You've been emotionally cheating and lining up replacements while living in my house, eating my food, and using my Netflix password. Jake stood up. David, I think it's time for the nuclear option. What nuclear option? The one we planned for if she turned out to be exactly who I thought she was. Jake had spent the week not just documenting Jessica's behavior, but building a case. He'd been in contact with my lawyer who specialized in divorce cases involving adultery and asset protection. Here's what's going to happen, Jake announced. Jessica, you wanted a week to evaluate your marriage. Well, the week's not over, but the evaluation is. You've been actively pursuing other men while demanding your husband prove his worth to you. That's not evaluating. That's cheating. He pulled out a folder. David's been documenting everything. Your spending patterns, your social media activity, your communications with other men, your complete lack of contribution to the household or relationship. Jessica looked panicked. You can't use my private messages. They're not private when you're using them to cheat on your husband. And before you start crying about invasion of privacy, remember that you made your evaluation public when you started posting about it on Instagram. Jake turned to me. David, you've got everything you need for a divorce that protects your assets and makes it clear she abandoned the marriage. Her behavior this week isn't going to look good to any judge. What do you want? Jessica asked, finally realizing she was trapped. I want you to understand what you've actually lost, I said. You thought you were evaluating whether I was worth keeping, but what you actually did was prove that you were never worthy of being kept. Jake handed her a piece of paper. That's a list of everything you'll be giving up when you leave. The house, the car payments, the insurance, the lifestyle, the credit cards, the joint accounts, all of it. You can't just kick me out. Actually, he can, Jake said. You've been committing adultery. You don't contribute financially, and you've publicly stated the marriage isn't working. Any lawyer will tell you that you're not entitled to much. Plus, I added, you wanted to evaluate whether the marriage was worth saving. Well, I've completed my evaluation too. It's not. Jessica started crying. You can't do this to me. Where am I supposed to go? Maybe Tyler from the gym can help you figure that out. Or Brandon from the real estate office. Or Derek from yoga class. You seem to have plenty of options lined up. Those guys were just friends, Jake laughed. Friends don't tell married women they want to show them what they've been missing. But hey, now you can find out if any of them want to support a woman with no job, no money, and a history of cheating on her husband. The beautiful irony was that Jessica had engineered her own downfall. By demanding an evaluation period, she'd given me legal and moral justification to protect my assets. By posting about it publicly, she'd created evidence of her intent to leave the marriage. By entertaining other men, she'd proved she was already checked out. What happens now? She asked through tears. Now you get exactly what you've been advertising for, I said. Freedom to find someone who appreciates what you bring to the table. Unfortunately, what you bring to the table is entitlement, disloyalty, and expensive tastes with no ability to pay for them. Jake clapped me on the shoulder. And David gets his life back without a parasite draining his bank account and disrespecting his marriage? Jessica ran upstairs, probably to call Madison or one of her Instagram followers for sympathy. But Jake and I both knew the truth. She'd played herself, and now she was about to find out what her worth actually was on the open market. Saturday morning, I woke up to find Jessica in the kitchen, surrounded by tissues, her laptop open, and her phone constantly buzzing. She looked like she'd been crying all night. Rough night? I asked, pouring coffee. Nobody's responding to my messages, she said miserably. Tyler, Brandon, Derek, none of them are answering. Jake walked in from the guest room. Shocking. It's almost like guys who hit on married women aren't looking for serious relationships. They said they cared about me. They cared about the possibility of sleeping with you, Jake replied matter-of-factly. Huge difference. Jessica's phone rang. She grabbed it desperately. Mom? Oh, thank God you called me back. I could hear her mother's voice through the phone, shrill and demanding. Jessica put it on speaker, probably hoping for backup. Jessica Marie, what is this nonsense I'm seeing on Instagram? Are you having marriage problems? Mom, David's being completely unreasonable. He cut off my credit cards and now he's trying to kick me out of my own house. David! Her mother yelled into the phone. What is wrong with you? You don't treat family like this. I took the phone. Hi, Mrs. Rodriguez. Jessica asked for a week to evaluate whether our marriage was worth saving. I'm simply giving her an accurate picture of what being single would look like. That's not what she meant, and you know it. Actually, that's exactly what she meant. She also meant it when she told multiple men that she was figuring out her next chapter and looking for new adventures. Silence on the other end. Jessica wouldn't do that, her mother said finally, but with less conviction. Jake leaned toward the phone. Ma'am, I have screenshots of everything. Your daughter has been emotionally cheating while demanding her husband prove his worth to her. Who is that? Jake Martinez, David's friend. I've been documenting everything to help him protect his assets. You had someone spying on my daughter? I had someone saving public posts your daughter made while she was shopping for my friend's replacement, I corrected. By Sunday afternoon, the full cavalry had arrived. Jessica's parents, her sister, and two of her cousins all crowded into my living room like some kind of intervention squad. This is ridiculous, Jessica's father started. You're both adults. Work it out like adults. I tried to work it out, I said. Jessica responded by giving me an ultimatum and flirting with other men on social media. She was just confused, her sister defended. She's been feeling neglected. Jake, who'd been quietly recording everything on his phone, finally spoke up. Neglected how? David pays for everything. The house, the car, the insurance, the food, the clothes, the gym membership, the social activities. What exactly has she been neglected of? Emotional support, Jessica's cousin chimed in. What emotional support? Like when she posted about their marriage problems on Instagram instead of talking to her husband? That kind of emotional support? Jessica's mother turned on me. You're being cruel, David. She made a mistake, but marriage is about forgiveness. What mistake exactly? The ultimatum? The social media posts? The flirting with other men? The complete lack of contribution to our household? Or the part where she told her friend she was trying to figure out what she settled for? The room went quiet. She said what? Her father asked. Jake pulled out his phone. Want to hear the recording? Madison posted it before taking it down. That's illegal, Jessica's sister protested. Actually, it's not. One-party consent state, and Madison was the one who recorded and posted it, Jake replied. But here's the best part. Want to see Jessica's DMS with the guys she's been talking to? No, Jessica screamed. You can't show them that. Why not? If it's innocent, what's the problem? Her family looked at each other, starting to realize there was more to this story than Jessica had told them. Her father, who I'd always respected, looked directly at me. David, what exactly did she say to these other men? I looked at Jessica. Want to tell them, or should Jake show them the screenshots? Jessica started crying again. It wasn't what it looked like. Tell us what it looked like, her father demanded. Through tears, Jessica admitted she'd been talking to a few guys, but insisted it was just conversation. When pressed for details, she finally admitted she'd been maybe a little flirty, but nothing physical happened. Her father's expression shifted completely. You gave your husband an ultimatum while you were flirting with other men? I was just confused. Confused about what? Whether you wanted to be married? Whether I was happy, Jake interjected. Ma'am, with respect, your daughter has been living rent-free with no job, unlimited spending money, and zero responsibilities. If she's not happy with that arrangement, the problem isn't the marriage. Her mother tried one last defense. David, surely you can forgive this. She's young. She made a mistake. She's 28 years old, I replied. And this wasn't a mistake. This was a calculated attempt to see if she could do better while keeping me as a backup plan. That's not true, Jessica protested. Really? Then explain why you gave me an ultimatum instead of asking for marriage counseling. Explain why you were entertaining other men instead of working on our relationship. Explain why you were posting about new chapters instead of trying to save our current chapter. She couldn't explain any of it because the truth was obvious to everyone in the room. Her father stood up. Jessica, get your things. You're coming home with us. Daddy, no. This is my house. This is David's house that he's been letting you live in. You've embarrassed our family and destroyed your marriage through your own actions. As they were leaving, Jessica's mother pulled me aside. David, I hope you'll reconsider. She really does love you. Ma'am, with respect, someone who loves you doesn't put you on probation while shopping for your replacement. She loves what I provide, not who I am. Jake handed her my lawyer's business card. When Jessica's ready to discuss divorce terms, she can call him. After they left, Jake and I sat in my suddenly peaceful house. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Free," I said. For the first time in years, completely free. 3 months later, I was living my best life. Jake and I had taken that guy's trip to Costa Rica we'd been planning for years. I'd been promoted to regional construction director with a $45,000 raise. I'd started dating a woman named Sarah who worked in cybersecurity, had her own apartment, paid her own bills, and thought ultimatums were for children. Then Jessica started calling. It started with just wanting to talk calls that I sent straight to voicemail. Then